All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope everyone made it in. If not, like normal, this will be recorded and put up and made available to you on YouTube and Schoology. Hey to everybody that's in chat. So here we go. Here's our class. First off, next week we're getting a new kind of class schedule. I'm sure you've seen this before. It should have been sent out to you. But for you, starting next week, here is your class schedule. For us, the only real change is that instead of having this live session at 2 in the afternoon, we'll be having it at 10:30 in the morning. Everything else is pretty much the same for us. You'll still get a technique assignment on Monday that'll be due by Friday, and on Friday in the live session, you'll get a new theory assignment that'll be due the following week. Second thing, hello, welcome to everybody that's coming in. Today's Noteflight assignment, because it's our first one through distance learning, I went ahead and extended it to be due tonight by 11:59. So you have until tonight, just before midnight, to get that saved in your Noteflight. I'll take a look at it here. It looks like everybody's opened it, but we'll take a look at that in a second. Today, I just uploaded our second e-learning Noteflight assignment. It's called Corona Chronicles number 2, and it'll be due next Friday at midnight, or just before midnight. So let's take a look into Schoology or Noteflight here. I can show you. I can see there are 25 copies of the assignment. And I'm going to open them up, and I can see everybody that has made a copy of the assignment. There are a few people. Camilo, make sure you put your name in here on your file. So when you open it up, you need to put your name up here in the corner. Hey, everybody, you need to put your name up here in the corner. Otherwise, it's a pain in my rear end to go through all of these and see who's put their name in and who has not put their name in, etc. So make sure you get that saved. In just a minute, I'm going to open up a copy of it. I'm opening up my copy of it and open up chat for some specific questions. I think I answered everything that you needed to know in the videos, but if there's something you didn't understand, we have a few minutes right now for you to ask questions in chat about maybe something you didn't understand or needed help with. So I'm going to be chilling here until I see some questions in chat for the next couple minutes. Or I'm going to assume that no one had any questions and we're good to move on. Real quick right here, this is the same thing we've done before. We're just talking about scale degrees, what note in the scale it is. Then I had a little review on intervals. And then I had you fill in and tell me what these intervals were. I didn't understand measure 44. Okay, so it says use the lyrics tool to identify the scale degrees in each triad. So what you're going to do is select the note, click on the lyrics tool, and you have to say what notes of the scale are these 3 notes. In this case, because of our key signature, we're in the key of B flat, so that means B flat down here is 1, C would be 2, D would be 3, E flat would be 4, F5, G6, A7, and then we're back to B flat. So if we look at this note right here, this is an E flat, so what note of the scale is that? We have an E flat, a G, and a B flat, so what would be our 3 scale degrees for this triad? I'm kind of waiting for somebody in chat to do it before I tell you the answer. Exactly. E flat is 4, G is 6, not 2, because this is B flat up here, it'd be 4, 6, and 1. But very, very, very close, and you seem to understand what it is. Yeah, 4, 6, and 1. Awesome. Any other questions about this homework before we move on to the new assignment for next week? There is a new Noteflight for next Friday, and that's been uploaded today, and we're about to go over it right now. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on. If you have any more questions about this first, well, you're going to have to tell me, Tommy. We're about to look at it. There's a couple of new things, but here we go. Let's go through our new assignment. So this one is going more into detail about intervals. And something that may help you, I want to point out within Noteflight, up here in the corner, there's a button that says keyboard, and it opens up a little piano keyboard, and it might be very useful and helpful to you. So here we go. Before, in this one, we were just identifying the intervals based on their names. Another way we can identify intervals or measure intervals is by semitones. A semitone is just one note within your chromatic scale. If I'm looking at a piano, a semitone is every key to the next key moving up. You might notice in between here there's no black key, and in between here there's no black key. That's because between the note E, let's see if this messes up something. Between the note E and between the note F, there is not a note between them. E to F is one semitone or one half step, and then B to C is one half step. So, if I go back to our intervals as scale degrees, we had our major second, our major third, our perfect fourth, our perfect fifth, our major sixth, our major seventh, and then our perfect octave. And what's cool is if I highlight both of those notes, it'll show me on the keyboard exactly where those line up. So C and D are right here. Now, if I wanted to figure out how far apart they were in semitones or in half steps or however you want to call it, what I can do right here that makes it easy is I highlight both of those notes and it shows me on the piano where they are. So if I'm going to count how many keys does it take to get to the next note, if I'm starting on C is 0, this note would be 1, this note would be 2. So these two notes are 2 half steps or 2 semitones apart. We're just measuring how far apart they are. Does that make sense to people in chat? Cool. So if I look at a major second, it is 2 notes away from each other, or 2 half steps away. If I move to a major third, how many notes away is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Easy peasy. A perfect fourth is 5 half steps away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A perfect fifth is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 notes away. The major sixth is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 away. The major seventh is 11 away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11. And our perfect octave is exactly 12 half steps away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, and that works out interesting, or is interesting about that is that's how many different notes we have. Hey there, Camillo. That's how many different pitches we have in Western music. If we count all of them, C, C sharp, D, D sharp. Uh-oh, I'm messing something up. I don't want to do that. Let's do that. C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C. 12 notes is all the notes we have. So that's why we have 12 different major scales. That's why your chromatic scale from C to C is another 12 notes or 12 pitches. Excellent. So now we're going to move on and we're going to start using both of these ideas, the name or the major third, the perfect fourth and fifth, and we're going to identify it using semitones. So, accidentals will be used here, so you're going to have to start thinking in ways of keys. So if I look at this first interval, I've got an F and a C. How many half steps away are they? Somebody tell me in chat. So if I'm looking at these two notes, I have to count how many keys. It is a perfect fifth, but how many semitones away are these two notes? And if you want, you can look back up here at our example to make the transition. Not 5 semitones. I'll even highlight it for y'all. 7. Okay, let's look at this note again. This interval again. And we did correctly identify that it is indeed a perfect fifth. But then if we want to count how many semitones it is, I can highlight it and see exactly where it is and count them up. So if here's 0, 1, don't do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It is 7 semitones away, and we can use our little map up here to help you remind yourself if you need to. So that one's pretty simple. Let's try one a little bit more difficult, and we're going to move down to this one. C to G sharp. Sorry, A to G sharp. My mistake, I was looking at the wrong one. A to G sharp. What interval is that? And I'm going to hold it here for a second, and you can do it two ways. You can start and think about your scale, your A major scale, and decide and remind yourself what note G sharp is in an A major scale, and that would tell you what the interval is. Or you can do it the other way and count how many half steps are in between those two pitches, between these two orange notes. Between these two orange notes on here, how many keys up is it, and that'll tell you how many semitones it is. So I'm going to wait for a second for someone in chat. Excellent. I see some correct answers there. It's 11 semitones away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And we can use our key up here to help us remind ourselves, okay, 11 means it's a major seventh. Excellent. Seeing a lot of correct answers. That makes me happy. It makes me feel like I'm explaining this well. M7. So you can do the same thing with all of these. Remember, the keyboard can help you figure out the distance between those notes. But if you're really good with your chromatic scale, that's going to be super easy. And honestly, I find that a little bit easier sometimes than trying to remember, okay, this is this scale. It has these sharps and flats. That means that note is the fifth note. Sometimes for me, it's just easier to think in terms of semitones. So with that, the first part of your assignment for this week is just identifying these intervals as their interval name and how many semitones are in between them. So that's the same thing for all of those, I think, 8 examples. Yes, yes. Next, we're adding 2 new intervals. Back when I first explained intervals to everyone, I don't think it's quite as long as the other one. It's a little shorter. We're adding 2 new intervals. Back when I first started explaining intervals to you guys, we went through the intervals in the major scale. We went through intervals in the major scale and identified the names of those intervals, but only using a major scale. But there are many, many, many more intervals, and I'm sure some of you could probably guess, if you're looking at these numbers, there's some we skip in places. For example, here we skip whatever 3 semitones was. Over here we skip whatever 8 was. Over here we skipped whatever 10 was. So now we're going to start filling in some of those intervals that are missing. And the first one we're going to learn is called a minor third. The major third, you already know, follows the scale pattern. But in a minor third, it is slightly different. So, as you learned above, if you have 4 semitones in between a note, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's your major third. But if you reduce that and make it just 3 semitones of space, it becomes what we call a minor third. These are important to know because they're going to become very relevant very soon. They're also one of the more common intervals that we create in music. And you've actually seen them already, I just didn't tell you what they were yet. So, here are a few examples. Here I have the note C and E flat, which creates an interval, or a semitone interval of just 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 semitones creates that minor third, and the way I write a minor third is right here with a lowercase m instead of a capital M. It's where it becomes important that you know if you're using a big M or a little m when you're writing these things down. Yes, Tommy, this one will be due next week. So here's another couple of examples. G to B flat. Why a lowercase m, Victoria? Because it is a minor third, not a major third. The interval is different, and I'll play some and explain to you and show you, let you hear how they are different. Oops, nope, we're going to change that to a half note. We're going to copy that, we're going to paste that, and I'm going to make that an E natural. Nope, E natural, so we can hear how that's different. What have I done? And we're going to copy that down here. Do the same thing. Change my lyric so we can see it. So here we have that minor third. It's only 3 half steps away, and that's what I'm going over right now, Bouty, on the intervals. The minor third is only 3 half steps away, or 3 semitones distant. The major third is a different note. Instead of E flat, it's E natural, and that one is 1, 2, 3, 4 half steps away. And if we play it, you'll hear that they just sound different. Let me slow it down so we can hear it a little bit longer. Select all. We'll set that to like 80 so we can hear it a little bit longer. Oh no, go down here. So what's different? The difference between a minor third and a major third is 1 half step or 1 semitone. The minor third, you only have a distance of 3 between the 2 notes. The major third has a distance of 4 between the 2 notes. And maybe I'll update this and show the difference. But yeah, same thing here. We're on a G and a B flat. Minor third because there's only 3 half steps between them. Same thing here. You'd have E flat to F to G flat. So it'd be 1, 2, 3. A to C, 1, 2, 3. Follows the same pattern. So the next part would be identifying, is it a major third or a minor third right here. So let's highlight our first note here. Why does the major have more? It's just different intervals. If we go, let's see, where can I write this? If you take your chromatics, I think she got it. Or she's rewriting her question. So I'll come back to that in a second. Let's go ahead and go through a couple of these in chat and take a look. This first interval, what interval is it? You can see it right here. But if you also really know your chromatic scale, you can also just think, okay, I'm going from A to a C. How many notes are in between? No problem, Victoria. No problem. Nothing to be sorry for. So in chat, somebody please explain or tell me what interval is this. And right here, they're all going to be either major thirds or minor thirds. With a big M there, Ana Paula? Remind yourself, take a look at the intervals down here, A to C, how many half steps are between them? Exactly. This one's a minor third right here because we go from A to C is only 3 half steps. If this had been C sharp, then you'd have your major third. 1, 2, 3, 4. But because we didn't have one there that time, oh no, come here you. It's a minor third, so below I'd use a little m and a 3 to do it shorthand. You could write out minor, the word minor, if you wanted to, but you don't always have to. Let's do another one real quick. I'm going to skip way back to the end. Not 4 or more, so major thirds have 4, minor thirds have 3. When we go to some of our other intervals, we're going to learn like a minor sixth and a minor seventh and a minor second, but for right now, we're just worried about the thirds and what we're about to come to. There's one more I want to go over. Cool, so let's look at this last one here. D and F sharp. What is this interval? And Apala says it's a major third. We'll see what everybody else says before I give answers. Does anyone else have an opinion? Exactly. It is indeed a major third because you go D, E flat, or D sharp, E, oh no, F, F sharp, or if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, it is indeed a major third. But what if the note had been a different note? What if it had been D sharp? And I'm not going to show you on the keyboard. You tell me what interval that would have been. Although it's pretty obvious because we're only looking at 2 different intervals right now. Exactly. It would have been a minor third. Now, what if I had done this? No. Where is it? Here. This is something you've never seen before, but it's called a double sharp, which means you raise it by 2 half steps. And I'll show us this. What would that interval be? D sharp to F double sharp. Exactly, it'd be a major third again because now it's back to being 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's a lot of different intervals out there, so that's why it's useful to just know the semitone relationships. Cool, I think everybody kind of gets the idea between majors and minor thirds. Now for something completely different. We have a new interval, and it comes from our fifth. Now a perfect fifth, it says it right here, a perfect fifth has a space of 7 semitones. If we go back up here, we see our perfect fifth, 7 semitones between them. If I highlight one, we can count it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, if we reduce that and we change that from being 7 to being 6, we have a new interval, and it's right here. It's called a diminished fifth. And it's a really strange interval. It also has another name called the tritone because it splits an octave like exactly. Remember, we said an octave is 12 semitones distance. So if you go right in the middle, that's 6, and it splits it up right in the middle. But it's also called the tritone, also known as diabolus in musica, so like the devil in music. Back hundreds and hundreds of years ago, people really didn't like this interval. They didn't want to use it in their music, and they said, man, if you're using that, it's like devil's interval. So we don't like it at all. And we'll listen to it here in a second, but all I'm doing is instead of having an interval, a semitone interval of 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I reduce it by 1 and make it one note closer together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. and that's where you get that interval. So let's take a listen to it. One of them sounds nice and pretty. Let me do it again without me talking over it. No. Play here. The next one, not so pretty. One more time. So it's the same concept as the major and minor thirds. We're just applying that same information to fifths. So it changes. It's either going to be a perfect fifth or a diminished fifth or a D5. So let's look at this first interval right here. And I'll turn on the keyboard so you can see. And if it's a distance of 7, it would be perfect. If it's a distance of 6, it would be diminished. So you tell me, what is that first interval? F to B natural. F to B 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I made a mistake. That's wrong. There we go. My mistake. I had a wrong interval in there. That was actually an augmented fourth, which we don't know yet. So let's look at that. Try that again. F to C flat, which you've never seen. We rarely see, because normally you would just write it as a B. So count how many half steps between those two notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 semitones. Diminished fifth. Yeah. So there's a distance of 6 half steps or 6 semitones, which means that is called the diminished fifth. Let's do a couple more, because I saw looks like some confusion there. I'm going to pick one at random. C to G. Sorry, E to B. I keep looking at the wrong thing. E to B. Well, it's 7 half steps. That part is correct, Victoria. You counted this correctly. But what is the interval when you have a distance of 7 half steps? Why is there a star? I don't know if this is a keyboard problem or something, but I think you're trying to write perfect fifth, which is correct. That's what that is a perfect fifth. Oh, gotcha. Using the star to correct. P5. Correct. Excellent. All right, so we only have a couple more minutes left. That's everything I really wanted to get through. Does anyone have questions about this assignment? And I think it's just Anna Paula and Victoria still here. So I'll definitely look for the people that bailed from our class early. But they'll have the information available to them online as well. All right, guys. Well, I hope you had a good week 2 of all of this. And we will see you next week. Earlier than next week, Friday at 10:30 is when we'll be doing our next class. Hope y'all have a good day. Bye-bye.